Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gamers. I'm your host, David Anthony, aka WebDave Gamertag, and I am super excited and thrilled to have on the one, the only Boxenberger. Dude, how you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing good. Doing good. Excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. Looking forward to this.
Oh, awesome, man. I just I started this quest because I was watching Boom Show, and it was like these really cool, fascinating people, you being one of them for sure, would come on
Thank you.
there, and then it was like, you know, loved your comments, your the take you had on things, and I thought, man, I want to, and I've even reached out to you before with some advice about a video or two, and you were super kind enough to take your time, watch it, and then give me some input back, and I greatly appreciate that. So I'm just anyway, super thrilled to have you here, super excited. Sorry if I'm fanboying out a little bit. So anyway, so I think you're, like I said, you're a content. I can't even talk. Content creator that's really on the move. So Boxenberger, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, we've talked in the DMs, we've talked in chats, and so on. So I'm really excited to finally talk to you in person. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, good. Well, good. Let's hope you have that same outlook when this is over. I'm just kidding. Block. No, I'm just kidding. So I guess the way we'll get things started is kind of just to find out a little more about you, as far as like, I guess growing up, and then what kind of jobs have you done, and then obviously you live in Germany. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Speak really good English, by the way. We'll have to get into that too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So better than me most times.
I don't know about that, but I do what I can.
Yeah, well, you do a great job.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Germany, born here in the south of Germany. And yeah, of course, went to school, started my gaming career really early. I always say, well, my father had an Atari. That was probably the first thing I played on. But my first own gaming device was the OG Game Boy. So yeah, that's basically where my gaming history started. From there on out, I had basically all the consoles, Nintendo, the Sega consoles, later of course the PlayStations, and yeah, to this day I own everything. And yeah, that's basically a short wrap up from the gamer's perspective. But you asked my about my career life, my school life. Well, we have a different school system here in Germany than you guys have in the US. So we don't have the high school college thing. We have basically 3 different school types. Of course, I graduated, and then I went to the university, did my PhD in optics and electronics engineering.
Nice.
Yeah, and from there on out, I had multiple jobs. Thing is, I can't really talk about them.
No worries.
That's
No worries.
all good.
No worries.
No, and yeah, so here we are, 38 years later, almost 39 years later. Yeah, and I started a couple of years ago my own YouTube channel and that whole content creation thing, which has become a hobby that I just enjoy as much as I do gaming itself. And that's mainly because of the awesome community, people like you being in the chat, cheering and hyping everything up, and getting to talk to other gamers and share the excitement. That's really what it is all about. And yeah, that's why I can't imagine my life right now without doing the content that I do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of jobs, I work for US Bank, and I really can't talk about what I do for the bank or anything either. So I totally get that. And it's not like, like I'm being like secretive, but it's just a matter of, there's, I work for this particular company, and but that's really not what this is about. It's just kind of a kind of a curiosity to get to know you type thing. So but I want everybody to understand, I'm like, thinking, well, he's some kind of KBG agent or something.
Oh, I'm an engineer. I'm an
there
engineer.
There you go.
in the field of optics and photonics.
So what I'm
let's say.
imagining right now is the golden eye, with Boxenberger on the cover with the gun, and
Yeah.
there you go. There you go.
Secret
We'll just leave the
agent.
mystery at that. That's it. Secret Agent
Yeah.
Boxenberger.
You always want to have that enigma around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That little mystique and mystery. I get you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I get you. So let's talk about your channel and how you got
Yeah.
started in that. So what I guess what brought you, because I mean you've been at it for a little while. So what brought you to be a content creator?
Well, then we have to go back many years. Let's say I don't know, 7-8 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
I didn't start on YouTube at that time. I
Mhm.
started to be a very active member in Germany's biggest Xbox forum, and that's where I started under the nickname Archimedes, and
Mhm.
that forum really became big. It is still the biggest forum here in Germany, and I was the user with the most comments in that forum, and from there on out, I started to go more international with my Twitter account, and so that's why for a long time I wanted to get the handle on Twitter Archimedes, yeah, because I was known in that forum as Archimedes, but that handle was taken everywhere. It was taken on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere it was taken.
Right.
So I went with my real life nickname Boxenberger as the handle. That's actually a nickname that I have in real life too. So I went with the handle, but had always had that name Archimedes attached to it. And then started on Twitter, and people just kept following. And I met a lot of other awesome content creators. And one of them was Boomstick. I think you know him. And that was probably 3.5 years. Maybe even 4 years. I really don't know anymore.
Mhm.
It's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
He asked me, we had obviously he was also a little bit smaller at the time, and we had a lot of discussions in our DMs, and he simply asked me, dude, you need to come on my show. We need to talk about this in public. And that's when I did my first podcast. And from there on out, I was invited to multiple different podcasts. I was guesting like 3-4 podcasts each week.
Mhm.
Been on all the major ones ever since. And when the pandemic started, actually, a couple of people approached me and said, dude, you gotta start your own YouTube channel because you have such strong opinions. You need to put them out there. And when the pandemic actually started, I had the time because my company sent every employee for 2 months unpaid hiatus. So I had time. I was at home, and I started that YouTube thing, learned how to edit videos, how that YouTube thing started. And yeah, that was like February or March 2020, so 2 years ago, around about. And ever since, my YouTube channel has become, like I said in the intro, a hobby that I enjoy just as much as I do gaming itself. And that the channel grew and grew, and I started to do more things. Started to invest also in a little bit better hardware, get a proper mic, get a proper PC, so I can handle 4K 60 FPS videos, stuff like that. And then it was time to start my own podcast, because I've been podcasting for so long, and I still do guest in 2-3 podcasts each week. But I thought it was time to start my own thing. And so end of last year, a couple of things came together, also time-wise in my private life. And yeah, then that's when I started my own podcast. We're already having now like 10 episodes, or the 10th episode is coming up on Thursday. So yeah, now I have my own podcast. It's seen tremendous success. I want to say also big thank you for everyone who tunes in every week. I'm having a blast with it. I try to do a little bit different format than some of the podcasts I usually am on. I was really thinking about, okay, there are like hundreds of podcasts out there. Most of them have big panels, like 4, 5, 6 people on there, which I love because it brings in a lot of different perspectives to certain topics. But simply time-wise, you can only cover like 3-4 topics in a podcast. Yeah, and I have in sense of that a different format that I do have a smaller panel. Like usually I only have one guest, sometimes two, but that's about it. And so we can get through more different topics. I want to cover broad variety, and I have also a very structured show. Like I have like a certain section for community questions where people can hand in questions up front that we answer. So even if you're not listening live, yeah, you can ask questions that the panel can answer. We have news sections, we have games of the week sections and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just my take on trying to bring something different to the podcasting world. But of course, it is a gaming podcast. We talk about all the things, and it's going well, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's a really good show too. I have to say,
Thank you.
I enjoy it, and it is the World of Gaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
World of
exactly.
Gaming, and
World of gaming.
it's very well done. And I tell you, I like the because it's kind of unique to you now. Is your little you have each of like your subjects, your little talking points when you go over them, like you talk about the games of the week or something like that. You have your own little intro to those, and they're
Those little
awesome.
jingles, yeah.
Yeah, the little jingles, yeah, yeah. And it's well, the first time I heard one, I was like, "What?" You know what? And I was like, but it's cool, especially now that the more I've seen it, it's it's now it's like you expect it, and so it's like if you stop doing it, I'd be like, dude, where's the jingle? So yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's and
Thank you.
it kind of breaks the monotony up, so it's not just a constant, I guess a frenzy of a subject to where like 4 or 5 hours, which some people can do that, and some shows can last like that. But I like how you get into different topics. You like say with 1 or 2 guests, you can focus on like getting their opinion, your opinion, and then on to the next, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So, but so I gotta back it up just a little bit
Yeah, sure.
with the which we'll get back to this. Don't worry. But when you started getting I guess getting invites and stuff,
Yeah.
how long have you been as fluent in English as you are?
That's a good question. And I think, well, I think the best part of my English I learned during my days at the university, because I lived in a big building with a lot of shared apartments, all students from all around the world. So
Yeah.
we talked basically all day English, except with my roommate that I had a shared apartment with. He was a German guy, but everyone else in that building was from everywhere around the world. And that's where I learned, of course, a lot, because I simply had to talk a lot of English. And then I spent also during my PhD 7 months in Aberdeen in Scotland. And you probably don't hear it, but of course I picked up a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, later, of course, in my job today, I also have to speak a lot of English. So yeah, it's hard to tell since when am I that fluent. I still think I'm not, but I
Well,
appreciate you saying that.
well, I think you are. As a person who could not speak another language if my life depended on it, I've tried several different, the Rosetta Stone, the Babel. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm just so stupid. I don't know, but I just, it's just like maybe some things I can get, but I mean, obviously you're completely fluid in your home language. Maybe it's a home language. Maybe that's not the right word for it, but your indigenous language. I don't know what the best way to say that would be, but I mean, but that you speak. So, and I've even seen, I guess on your YouTube channel, you mentioned, if you want to have a conversation with me in German, that's fine too. You can do, which is cool, which is very cool that you can do both. Which I mean, there's another, and I'm not trying to harp on the language thing, but it is very impressive that that you can easily go between one or the other.
Thank you.
That just blows me away.
Yeah, it is something I've been doing for a long time, like not just gaming related, like I said. having a lot of people from all around the globe around me, working in an international field, you have just, you kind of have to speak English, and
Right.
you pick that up really quick to go back and forth. But I sometimes I realize that that I'm missing a few words, and sometimes I want to express myself a little
Right.
bit more, eloquently or something, and then I'm just missing the right words. And of course, sometimes you miss the nuances and stuff. But overall, when I started this entire content creation thing, I was really thinking hard. Do you do a German
Right.
channel or do you do it in English? Obviously, it's easier to do it in English because you just have global audience.
Right.
On the other hand, there are not that many German-speaking Xbox-focused content creators, so that could also be something very unique. The
Right.
thing for me is I started it, like I said, because of the community, and I've met so many gamers from all around the world.
Right.
I regularly play with my friends from the Netherlands, from UK, from Australia.
Nice.
I've met a couple of people from Mexico that I play regularly with, and so it kind of was clear to me, no, gaming is something that brings people together, no matter where they're from, doesn't matter your religion or the political system you grew up in or whatever, the color of your skin,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And that's why it was clear to me I want to do this, because gaming is a great unifier all around for across the entire globe, and English is the common language that everyone seems to understand, and so that's why I went with
I'm
English.
so lucky that I was born to be able
Sometimes
to.
you,
Woo, boy, you have no idea. That'd be like, what's that English he's talking about? Yeah. So, and okay. So to get off of that, it was. But the thing is, with with you being in the community, like you said, you have a huge, broad audience now that you wouldn't have if you just spoke, your native language, German, I should say, but or what you grew up on was German.
German.
So, but you can tell I'm struggling today, Boxenberger. Tell you what, but I am excited that you're on here, so I'm probably a little extra nervous than I have been on some of
You
the
don't
other
have to be. You
interviews.
don't have to be.
So, well,
Not because of me.
well, so let's get into because you talked about obviously you have your great channel now, podcast that's going that everybody needs to get onto your channel, and I'll have a link in the description down below, so everybody needs to click on that. They not only need to subscribe, but they also need to hit the little bell icon so they get all the content that you drop every on a weekly basis, and every other thing that you're on. People need to, especially if you're into gaming, they need to listen to what Boxenberger has to say. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you.
So, dude, thank you for all the stuff that you put out. And not only that, but let's get into this, because that's one of the things when I was watching you on Boom, and like, oh, I'm dropping another video. I was like, well, let's check that out, because I hadn't at the time. Clicked on it, and it was like I was blown away. And when Boom compares you to like Colt Eastwood as far as the quality, he's not lying. He's not exaggerating. I mean, you're, especially the more when you got your 4K equipment. Holy crap, dude. Those videos are amazing. And I know it takes a long time to do them, but tell me a little bit more how that came about, and what made you want to do that part too.
Yeah, it is actually, it was a time thing for me, because doing a podcast, you really have to invest a certain block of time over in your day for that. And editing a video, you can do that 30 minutes during a lunch break. You can do it. You can do an hour in the evening, or you can split it up more. And that was actually the thing. The one thing that made it just convenient for me, even though the overall time investment is definitely longer. A 10-minute video takes me like 6 to 8 hours, depending on the topic. Yeah, so that's really like 3 podcasts. But you can split it up. And of course, I've also thought about what can I bring to the content scene that isn't out there. And I've realized I watch a lot of YouTube channels that do these videos on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis, whatever. And I realized that a lot of the channels focus more on telling just things, like, for instance, tech stuff. Yeah, they say, okay, it is gonna be awesome that we will have mesh shaders in the new Xbox or the new PlayStation or whatever, and they never explain what are mesh shaders, why are they good, and what do they bring to the table. And that is, there are some tech channels out there that do that, but then they do it in such a way that you often watch these and think, okay,
What do you
I still
say?
have no idea what a mesh
Right.
shader is. And that was actually how I started my channel. I thought I want to explain some of the stuff that is happening either on the tech side or on the economic side of things, that that people really get a benefit from watching these videos instead of just hearing about, oh, Xbox just launched VRS 2.0 and it's going to be awesome and it's going to make games better. But hopefully after you watch one of my videos, you know what VRS 2.0 is, at least to some degree, of course. I try to explain it in understandable words, and that so that the viewer actually gets a benefit from it. And that takes up a lot of time because you kind of have to do a lot of research sometimes and think about how to explain stuff. But yeah, again, I'm an engineer. I love tech. I love reading up on those things, and so that's something where I try to bring something unique to the content creation scene, because you sometimes have the feeling like everything is already out there, and especially when you start a channel, that's kind of hard to do if you report, for instance, on the daily news or stuff like that, because there are hundreds of channels out there that do that as well with hundreds of thousands of followers. So you kind of got to think about it. What can you bring to the table that is unique? And that's how I approach this entire thing.
Well, I tell you, as someone who's watched every single one of those videos that you have put
Thank
out,
you.
that I mean, it really, because I'm, I'm not an idiot, but there's definitely a lot of things that, it's not in my wheelhouse. So to have
Yeah.
it explained in a way that makes sense or that I can grasp and know the difference by the time I watch the end of the video is very helpful. And that's why I enjoy watching them, because I know there's always going to be some thoughtfulness in it when you put it out. It's not just I guess a tech dump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You explain things and why is it relevant to you and why will you benefit by this happening. So I appreciate those videos that you do, and I'm looking forward to more, because I know there's going to be some more coming, especially with
Yeah.
the continued advancements in the Xbox system and then
Definitely.
PlayStation and everything else that's
Yeah.
coming out. That there's definitely, God knows where the industry's going, as it were. So let's get into some of these other the podcast that you do, as far as
Mhm.
like people, the shows that you guest on, because I know of two that are big to me that I watch
Yeah.
you on. So tell me how you got involved with Boom Show, and then also with the Wandering Dutch.
Yeah. I started with Boom's show. Okay, like Boom was again, it was my very first podcast I ever did. Was one of Boom's shows. At the time, he didn't have like 3, or now it's 4 shows a week.
Yeah.
He had like one and grew from there. And so I've guested on almost all of them except Primetime Gaming, which is kind of midnight here in Germany when that airs. Or I
Yeah,
think
it's a
it's
time
2.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's a time thing. No, and the Xbox Factor podcast is obviously my wheelhouse. He asked me to be a permanent member there because he wanted to have someone who is also knowledgeable in tech on that panel. By the time we're speaking now, we have a big panel there with very very other knowledgeable people like Fun Math from Fun Speculation or Pong Soul, and Now we also have Mr. Churno Dog on there permanently, but that hasn't always been the case. It was a time where it was Sammy, me, and Boom as the permanent members, and then we had rotating guests.
Right.
So that's a long history we have there. Wandering Dutch is a kind of a different story. That was like, I want to say 5-6 months after I started my own channel. He approached me and said, "Yeah, well, we knew each other from Twitter." And then he approached me in the DMs and said, "Hey, I love your channel, love what you do." He's thinking about starting his own podcast, and he looks for some experienced panel members, and that's how it started there. We then asked a couple of other guys that had some less experience in the podcasting scene, but that not having experience shouldn't be a hurdle, because we all started at some point with no experience. And so that crew came together. I didn't know everyone at the beginning, to be honest. But yeah, we became very good friends over the years. It's almost 2 years now that we do this.
Wow.
And we talk also, not just during the podcast, we talk on a daily basis about everything, that entire Midweek Mix-Up gang, which is really awesome. It's really like everyday shit. Like, I'm chilling here at the playground with the kids. What are you guys doing? And then we have a group chat about that, or I don't know.
Nice.
These guys are really awesome. And it's kind of interesting for me also, because we are all from Europe, and you don't have that often in the content creation scene. Usually, I work with Americans. And sometimes Australians, but with that podcast we have an entirely European panel. We added recently 2 weeks ago, I want to say 3 weeks ago, someone from the US as the first non-European member, because we wanted to have a more PlayStation focused content creator. And so that's really cool. But other than that, it's a European focused podcast, and the guys are awesome. And what Wandering Dutch is doing for the community deserves a lot of respect. He also initialized something called the Midweek Mix-Up Initiative, which is basically an initiative that helps smaller content creators getting started on YouTube, on Twitter, Twitch, and that has seen a lot of growth. The Midweek Mix-Up Collective is now a real known thing in the smaller content creation scene, and it is an awesome community of content creators that helps each other out. And we have a dedicated Twitch manager, we have a dedicated YouTube manager that really help the people get started. And I also do what I can when content creators approach me and ask for advice. How do I do this?
Help me out.
Yeah.
So
glad I did.
Me too.
Because a lot of other creators also helped me when I started. When you want to start something, there's so much to think about. And I bet that no one has an idea in the beginning where his journey will end up and how this works. And it was also a lot of a big learning curve for me over the first year or two, 1.5 years. I learned so much in how to not just how YouTube works itself, but also how to edit videos properly together, how to properly use music, how to properly use cuts, and how to have that story arc in your videos implemented and stuff like that. And this doesn't come overnight. Sometimes it really helps if you just get an idea. Hey, you got to pay more attention to your thumbnail, or you have to do this or that. It helps, and I do what I can. And I'm glad to be able to give now some experience back to the community. And Wandering Dutch has made that a fantastic thing with the Midweek Mix-Up Collective under a certain umbrella that really helps there. And so that's the Midweek Mix-Up crew. it's awesome, group of guys. So yeah,
Definitely. I enjoy watching you on that show as well as
thank you.
watching you on. Oh, you're welcome, dude. As well as watching you on Boom Show, and and when it comes to Boom, obviously, um, he was my first interview. He had to be my first one because he's kind of the I just love his viewpoint and his openness and his he's it's when you if you talk to him in the green room, he's got that New York mouth on him.
Yeah.
But he's smart that
Yep.
that when he puts out his content, it is I wouldn't say 100% family oriented, but I mean it is family friendly, so
Yeah.
that because there's a lot of people's kids that listen and younger
Mm.
audiences that enjoy this gaming content and
Yeah.
stuff, where like I'm an old guy, so I've been Atari 2600 was my first system, kind of thing. So I'm there with you as far as like
Yeah.
been playing games for a long time, and with some people like the first thing they're phone gaming was their first thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But now that's a huge market, so my wife plays a lot of phone games because she loved like Donkey Kong, was really good at
Mm.
games that are side scrollers, but the 3D games, like when Donkey Kong 64 came out, about 2 or 3 minutes, and she was like, "I'm getting sick. It's this thing spinning around and stuff, the background
Mm.
stuff, which I get it." So now she's kind of more back into gaming, doing the phone games because it's
Yeah.
kind of that's her niche. Loves puzzle games and stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, man, if you're
Same
if
for
you're
my
playing
wife.
games,
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
gamer, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That is really all that matters, and that's kind of what I really love about this whole community. No matter what format or system you play on, whether it be everything from arcades to PC to handhelds to Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, if you're playing games, it's entertaining, and I like that the shows that I follow and people like you, it's you're going to get a good experience, and it's going to be from somebody who comes from a place that that cares about and is passionate about what they do. So that's I love it. I love it. So this community is awesome, and you
Yes,
make
it
it
is.
even a better place for everybody to go to. So thank you.
Thanks. Well, thank you for the kind words, and I
Ah,
absolutely agree. The community itself is what makes this hobby so great.
yeah,
It is really to this day I'm still surprised that so many people, of course, not just want to listen to what I have to say, but use it as a starting point for discussions. And when you go through my comments or on Twitter or in the chat during the podcast and or whatever, you really see how people just have awesome chats about the hobby we all love, and that is the great thing, and that's what drives me and brings me the energy to do all that.
yeah, I'm right there with you, and that's
Yeah.
and that's great. So let's go into some obviously with this we want us to be, I guess, constantly relevant, but right now in gaming is Pong's big thing is it's the golden age of gaming, and boy is it really, I mean, obviously gaming's been getting bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
it's bigger than movie sales, as far as and now even the cost of games are getting way up there because of all the technology and the things that they put into it and the teams and the sizes they have to be to try and get games out faster, but like, I guess, so what, including these acquisitions and stuff, what in gaming right now are you most, I guess, excited about, that's whether it be whatever platform, is there anything in gaming that you're like, this is really what I'm looking forward to next?
Well, of course, there are tons of games I could name that I'm excited
Right.
for. But the thing that has me excited the most is that I feel like we are now in a point in gaming where we have the best competition possible. We have now Xbox really being able to compete with Sony. We have the consoles being able to compete with PC. We have all that competition going on, and you can tell that this brings us, the gamers, a lot of value. It's things Because of that, we have things like Game Pass. Because of that, we have also Sony breaking out of their traditional ways and bringing their games to also PC. And we have that rumor about Spartacus. We have all these things happening in the gaming scene. We have the best hardware in consoles ever. There has never been
Ever. Exactly.
a stronger in terms of hardware console generation than this one right now. So all of that only happened because there is a lot of competition, healthy competition going on. And I think this is what has me excited the most. I want to see where does this fight for our wallet, the wallet of the consumers, take the gaming industry in 5 years and 10 years, when we start to talk about the next generation. Where will
Right.
gaming be by then? And that has me excited, because we not only get, like I said, a lot of hardware for our money, but also a lot of games, quality games, and that's the exciting thing about this gaming industry right now, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely seems like it's on a good projection,
Yeah,
a good
definitely.
path. I mean,
Yeah.
and I know there's there's been several which we've all had discussions about. There's always a few fanboys that tend to kind of like to piss in everybody's pot to
Yeah.
to bring up to bring things down, and in this community, when it comes down to it, really doesn't tolerate that. We just,
Yeah.
it's good to be above that kind of thing. And then with the technology now, it's like it's really opened up the game. And some people are like, oh, my system's better, this system's better. They're all good, and because they're good and because they're working so hard, like you said, for the
Yeah.
money, we benefit by that as gamers.
Yes. Exactly.
Why would you I'm glad there's a Sony, I'm glad there's a Nintendo, I'm glad there's
Absolutely.
an Xbox, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they're all putting out games. you
Yeah.
know you know One of my favorite consoles was the Dreamcast, but they're no longer around.
See? Oh,
But
the
man, I
Dreamcast
love
was
that.
awesome. So it was so way ahead of its time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic
exactly.
console. Yeah, but you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. And all of these fields bring something unique to the table that the other side of things they don't do. Yeah. Obviously, Xbox has Game Pass, which is a kind of unique right now. Then we have, of course, PlayStation. And they still have some of the best first party content, of course, out there, but they also do stuff like VR, whether that's for you or not, but it's something unique in the console space. And then, of course, Nintendo is Nintendo, and they do what they do very well. We all argue about the value proposition they offer, but in the end, they always deliver great games, quality games. And we also have the PC space, which is in a great place at the moment.
right.
There's also a lot of healthy competition going on there, in between Valve, of course, and Epic, and so on. It's a great place to be a gamer, no matter where you play. There's everywhere there's something to get excited about, and that is really unique and special
Yeah,
this generation.
definitely. And I think that like you said, Epic, with some of their my blank, my mind has gone blank as far as what the term is, but like their the game that they have that everybody can jump in, it's free to play, and it's like, why wouldn't you want to try out? And that actually is
Yeah.
huge. uh
Fortnite.
Fortnite, exactly.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's like it's brought in so many people that weren't necessarily gamers, or passive gamers, because it's like, I really like this. I've known people that have bought big gaming rigs just to play Fortnite with their friends, and it's like, well, you can play it here, here, and here, but they're like, oh, I want a headset, and all, and that's cool. That's
Yeah.
what they want to do. But and with that, it's also got them, oh, I heard about this game, and there's this Call of Duty, that's free to play now. Let me
Yeah.
try that. And then they've gone around Apex Legend. Let's see what that is about,
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
Halo Infinite, free to play
Free to play.
multiplayer. which is fantastic. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to improve it like every other thing. Maybe they say it's kind of on the downside right now, but I just think it's just COVID and everything else. I'm just letting them everything like that kind of slide. And
Yeah, I
couple
mean, it's
years,
not
we'll see
like
how
we
things
have
go.
nothing else to play, so
Right. Exactly. I think
yeah,
what's I guess noticing your tweets here recently too. I guess you finally dipped your toes into Elden Ring,
I did.
and
I
man, is
bought
it
it.
awesome, huh?
I'm in a love-hate relationship with the game. I think there are so
Can
many.
understand.
Yeah, there are so many things that the game does right and really, really well. Like the world building is incredible. The way how this open world is designed, I love it. I also love the fact that the game doesn't hold your hand. Yeah, there are no question marks on the map that you can check off and stuff like that. This is really awesome. But there are
Yeah.
also other things that I don't think are very well done. There are like things like simple quality of life things, like the missing pause button, for instance. It's just it annoys the hell out of me because
Yep.
yeah, sometimes my kids just run into the room and I have to pause and I can't do that, so I just die again and again and again and lose my runes because of it. And it's
Yep.
it's these kind of things that drive me nuts with the game. But overall, it is a great game, no
Right.
doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And like to me, I've turned off the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, obviously there'll be parts when I'll want to do that. But man, all those little tag things all over the place, and people leave their own comments and stuff, and I guess that's cool. But to me, when I see something shiny, I'm running over to it, and it's like it's
Yeah.
somebody's comment. Like, what? I don't give a crap about that. No offense,
Yeah.
but I mean, sometimes there's a lot of that, and to me, that's like, if I can turn that off, good deal.
I did the
So,
same. I did the same. Yeah.
but don't get me wrong, it is an absolutely amazing game. I bought it on PlayStation 5 because my daughter has a PlayStation 5.
Mhm.
And so that way we could play it back and forth. But when we got it and it came out, I couldn't play a whole lot unless she was at work. And then it was like, let's see, what am I going to do? So I bought it for the Xbox for myself, and now I'm playing on that. So I ended up buying 2 copies of the game.
Yeah.
They love
Yeah,
me,
see?
right?
Yeah, they love you. They love you.
Sucker. But
No,
that's
but
all right.
it is a great game. Yeah. I'm not sure if it is that masterpiece that everyone makes it out to be, because
Right.
for that I just yeah, sometimes there is stuff happening where I just have to I say I don't know why they did that. And
Right.
but overall it is definitely a unique experience, and it is probably the most approachable Souls game that they have put out, simply because of the awesome open world that when you hit that wall with a boss and you just can't progress there, go somewhere else and do something else, and
Yep.
you get your reward there. And that's something really cool. And yeah, it is a great game, no doubt.
Well, there's been times when I've just jumped in and played, and like I know I can't beat what I was working on, but I just like I'm just going to take off this way and
Mhm.
see, how many state of grace or whatever I can save to and light up my map so that I can come
Yeah.
back later if I need to do something. Excuse me. But yeah, so to me that's been fun because you run into all kinds of stuff that I'm like, wow, that I wouldn't have found if I hadn't just taken off on a journey. And then sometimes there's places where you think, there's got to be something in here, and it's like there's nothing. So I was like, oh well, it was still fun getting there. So with that, I guess what is some of the I guess, well, let's get to kind of center back to a little bit of gaming, and
Mhm.
I like to ask this of people: is like, so what? I guess gaming franchise or um, um, or just favorite game, like what is your like, this is what you would play, like your go-to or your favorite, or whatever triggered you to, like, I've got to play this game.
Uh, yeah, that I
And
could
it could be
name a couple.
multiples. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah. So I recently, it was like a month ago or so, I had a big conversation on Twitter because I said I have only like 6 games that I consider a 10 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
And that's from someone who has been gaming way more than 30 years. So um, one of them is Secret of Evermore. That's a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
I love that game. I played each and every year at least once. So I have finished that like 30 times now, at
That's
least.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Then I have to say, Zelda Ocarina of Time is such a game. I also play that regularly. The 3DS version, to be honest. It's I love Ocarina of Time. And I have to say, Red Dead Redemption 1 is not 2. The
Right.
first one
Yes.
is, in my opinion, a absolute masterpiece.
I agree. 100%. Love
Yeah,
that game.
absolutely. It still has the most surprising ending in a video game I've ever experienced. It is amazing. Then I have to say, Batman Arkham City is one of those games that maybe it was the time when it came out. It was a special time in my life, but
Mhm.
I love it. It's so good. Then of course Skyrim. Um, I I I don't know how many hundreds, if not thousands, of hours I've put in Skyrim. I have bought it on everything I own. I even have like 200 hours on the Switch version. So
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah, Skyrim is amazing, and the only game that can probably top Skyrim, in my opinion, is The Witcher 3. I still think that is the best game ever made, and that makes the 6 games that I consider 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Well, thanks for sharing that. Because, I mean, like you said, I've played all of those games. I'll agree
Mhm.
with almost all of them. The Witcher, for me, just, I don't know what it was. I played it a little bit. I didn't beat it. Maybe I should go back to it, but it's just,
Definitely should.
but you know what? That's the best part about gaming, is that there's something out there for everyone.
Yes,
You know,
exactly. Yeah, and it's totally fine. Not
yeah,
every game is for every gamer. For instance,
right.
for some reason, I can't get into sports games. It's
Oh, me too.
like everyone I know, also here in real life, yeah, plays FIFA. FIFA is huge here in Germany. I, for the
Right,
love of it, I can't get into it. Does that mean it is a bad game? No, it doesn't.
right.
It's
Just
not
not for
for
you.
me.
Yeah,
Exactly, and that's totally fine. If The Witcher isn't for you, I get that it is can be overwhelming, and it's the story isn't for everyone, and it's fine. For me, it
like the
is a
Netflix series.
masterpiece. Yeah,
Watch
yeah, that
that. That's cool.
series is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that series
But
is.
like we talked about sports, one of my
Mm,
favorite sports games was Tommy Lasorda Baseball on the Genesis. And
okay,
it was
never
to
played
me
that.
because it was fun, and the mechanics were easy to do, and you
Mm,
felt like you accomplished it, and you were playing a game of baseball. To me, that was fun.
mm,
But like other people be like, well, what about MLB? It's like, that's great. It looks beautiful. It's amazing, but it's so complicated and and realistic that I'm like,
yeah,
can I just swing and a miss instead of
yeah,
what's the wind speed? And I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, what? So I don't know, but it's still the great, and I've played them, especially when they're on the Game Pass for free. Yeah,
Mm,
MLB.
yeah.
But good job, Sony. Anyway, they sorry, but it's one of those things where it's games, like I said, the variety of gaming now is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
um you were talking about the Elden Ring and
Mhm.
things you like and didn't like about it, and I know this is probably silly, but if they had, to me, to make it even what I would consider perfect, is if it had the jumping mechanics of and not even Breath of the Wild, but Halo's jumping mechanic, where you can climb a building or
Mhm.
climb a rock face and get to the top. If it
Yeah.
had that in the game to get around, I mean, obviously it would change the dynamic of a
Mm,
lot of the stories and stuff. But that,
yeah.
to me, was like, that's what I really wanted in this game. When I get up, look up there, I'm like, how do I get that? Well, jump on your
Mm,
horse and do this. I'm like, can I just climb up there? Come on, man. So I guess that's spoils from another game. But those are the kind of things that I, that would like, to me, that if it had that in it, that would make it even better. But
Yeah.
So, but like I said, some people also say that and they're like blasphemy, Well, okay, sorry, but let's I guess let's get into it, and I have some of your answer earlier. Maybe I know where you're going, but we may not. This is why I ask. So, what I guess is your most anticipated game that you're looking forward to that's been announced, people know about, because some people I've talked to know things that they can't talk about. This is not what we're going at. Things that you know that are existing or coming, that aren't out yet. So what? And it can be multiple, because almost everybody's like, I can't just give one, and that's fine too. So
Okay.
let's hear that.
Yeah, since I'm a huge RPG fan, there are a couple of RPGs on the horizon that I'm really looking forward to. One of them, of course, being Starfield. First new Bethesda IP in 25 years, and Todd Howard never disappointed. I really can't wait. Everything that they said and talked about sounds like this is going to be one hell of an epic adventure, and I really can't wait. But the other two that I want to mention here are definitely Avowed from Obsidian. I love Obsidian. They are amazing, and now they have the proper funding and time to build basically their take on Skyrim. And I talked about it earlier, how much I love Skyrim, and seeing that with the storytelling quality that Obsidian brings to RPGs. And they always have a certain unique touch to RPG mechanics. All their RPG mechanics are somehow a little different than the industry standard. And I really want to see what that game will be. And the other one is Fable. I love the original Fables, all three of them, even 3.
Yep,
I know a
same
lot of
here.
people didn't like Fable 3. I really liked it. It was something else than the other two, I agree. But especially in co-op, that game was awesome. And yeah, I can't wait to see what Playground will do with that IP, how it will look. And I just can't wait to play another big open world RPG that doesn't take itself too serious. Yeah. So I would say those are probably the 3. At least on the Xbox side of things. There's one game that I'm really looking forward to on the PlayStation side of things, and everyone wants me to say God of War, and of course I'm looking forward to play it. But I'm just a sucker for superhero games, and I can't wait to see what the next Spider-Man and the Wolverine game from Insomniac turn out to be. So
yeah, well, they have such a good track record, so you think, the
Insomniac
expectations are going to be high. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So yeah, I think these are the games that I'm really looking forward to the most. Nintendo is something I want to say Metroid, but we really don't know what the next Metroid will actually going to be. Yeah, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is definitely one I'm going to play. But I didn't think that Breath of the Wild was that special. It was no doubt, it was a good game, but was it really? When I compare that to other Zelda games in the series, I don't think it does. It even makes my top 5 Zelda games.
Wow, okay.
Doesn't mean it's a bad game,
right?
but
Of course not.
It's so yeah. I really can't name Zelda in the same excitement as Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 in the same excitement level that I have for like the next Spider-Man or Starfield or Avowed. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that we definitely encourage here, is that you do have your opinions, and they are allowed. So that's okay. But I'm with you. Sometimes you feel like if you say something that's maybe not that you feel like you have to throw in, but I do like it. You know what I mean? And just so people don't come at you with, what do you mean it's not the best game ever? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy?
And
it's like
somehow
whatever.
Breath of the Wild is getting defended like crazy when you have the smallest criticism about that game.
Right, exactly.
They really come at you.
But I enjoy playing. I love it,
Mhm.
and I'm ready for the next one. Gonna get the next one
Oh, no
reserved
doubt.
as soon
I'm
as
going to
it's
play it. No doubt. Yeah.
exactly. And those mechanics of the jumping,
Hmm.
or what I was like, put that in Elden Ring. Just saying, that's just me. But I know it's probably not the good thing to say, but I don't care. But yeah. Let's kind of as we wrap things up. And again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate this.
Of course.
But when you've been on a Boom show for a while, and Boom sometimes has a tendency to make up, I guess we call nicknames for people or shortening of names, and which are hilarious, and you definitely you take it in stride, and you've embraced some of it, and I think that's fantastic. It shows to your character too, because he's not making fun of you. If somebody gives you I guess a signature name, I guess it's kind of a it's that's he cares
Yeah.
about you, and so how did he come up with Boxenberger? How'd that come
He
about?
didn't. It wasn't his
Oh, it
idea.
wasn't? Okay.
No, it wasn't his. He just pronounced for some reason sometimes Boxenberger like Boxer Bear, or when he speaks really fast, it sounded
Right.
like Boxer Bear, and actually the community picked that up and gave me then the nickname Box A Bear, and then it became a thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's really, it wasn't intentional from his side.
Right. Just yeah. maybe his accent, kind of like my southern accent,
Yeah.
his New York accent, maybe a little thick
Exactly.
on some things. So yeah. I
Yeah,
was
and
just I
then
was just curious. So,
yeah,
but I
and
like
then
how
the
you've
community
embraced
picked
it.
that up, and like you said, I think it is important to be able to laugh about yourself as well. And so yeah, I made a little emoji that the channel members can now also use
Which is
on
awesome.
my channel. Yeah,
It has a little bear coming out of a box,
exactly.
and it's adorable. Just say. So yeah. So it's really cool, and so yeah. I mean, the like like it was, and you had a, I guess, a monumental day when you became on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was kind of big, and there's a lot of people like Jez Gordon when he came out. He had a lot. He lost a lot of weight, and he came out and
Mm.
finally did some live video. And there's a few others that don't, and that's absolutely fine if you want to be on video. I mean, they say I have a face for radio, which means not a pretty one. But my wife loves me, and that's all that matters. So, so I get that.
Oh, I think
But
you're doing awesome on camera. No
well,
doubt.
thank you. I appreciate that. When I have a beard going and it's all nice and gray, it's like oh, look, Santa. But yeah, it's that starting to warm up a little bit, so I had to trim it back down. So,
Man.
but yeah, so again, thank you so much for being on here. Can let's as we wrap this up, let's tell everybody how they can reach out to you, where they can find your content, and if there's anything coming up that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Floor's yours.
Thank you. No, first, I want to say a big thank you for the invite. I really appreciated it that you reached out, and that we made this happen. Thank you so much for giving me the chance and opportunity to introduce myself a little bit, because that's what sometimes comes short on these channels. To actually talk a little bit about how everything came together, who you
Right.
are, besides the gamer. So really appreciate you inviting me. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and people can find me basically everywhere under Boxenberger. Not Box a Bear, but Boxenberger. Of course, here on Twitter, YouTube, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Steam, wherever. It's all everywhere, Boxenberger. But I highly encourage everyone, of course, to check out the YouTube channel. That's where I put out the most content, of course. The best way to have a direct conversation if you just want to ask me a question is, of course, Twitter. The DMs are always open. And if someone has a question, wants to talk about gaming, just hit me up. I'm always open. about a conversation. I did realize that my invite to talk about Elden Ring was probably not the best idea, because I got flooded with DMs. Like, I got 120 DMs over the last 4 days. And it was impossible to answer all of them, but I will do eventually. So,
well, that's, well, your popularity is growing and your channel's growing, and your subscription base is on fire, which is fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You're where are you at now, roughly? Is it 5 something?
A bit above 5,200 subs.
That's
now,
fantastic. That is awesome. You'll be at 10K before long. I have a feeling. I'd say within a few years, I guarantee you'll be above that, especially with some of the great content you're putting out, man. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the encouragement and the compliment.
Well, again, like I said, I enjoy what you put out, and I think it's and I think other people definitely do well. As your channel is starting to grow, you're finding out as well that you're on the right track. Keep up the good work, and again, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. And I will ask you questions about Elden Ring later. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But we did talk in the green room before, and I asked you a question about something, and you were so nice enough to hook me up with who I needed to speak to. So again, thank you for that. And thank you everybody for joining us here. And if you want to, you can also reach out to us here at whoops, hit the wrong button. Here, as I'm distracting myself. My website is outbreakpodcast.com. And of course, we greatly appreciate any subscription that you can. Here, let's hit that up. Boom. How's that? Could it be any bigger? So yeah, there we go. Appreciate it if anybody could subscribe. That way we grow a channel here as well too. And we appreciate you being on here today. And thank you everybody for tuning in and watching us today here at Outbreak Gamers.